Last month, an 85-year-old man called me in disbelief. His voice shook with emotion as he whispered, "Doctor, I felt alive again. I lasted for hours and my wife was in tears. She thought I was taking something risky, but all it was, just 1 teaspoon of that ginger mix you told me about." Think about that. 85 years old and experiencing the kind of vitality most men half his age pray for. That's not a miracle. That's the power of blood flow restored. My name is Dr. James, and I'm a board-certified men's health specialist. For more than 30 years, I've worked with thousands of men over 60 who believed their strength and intimacy were gone forever. I've guided them back without pills, without surgery, using simple science-backed natural methods that most doctors never mention. And here's the surprising truth. Decline in the bedroom doesn't happen because of age alone. That's the myth. The real culprit is poor circulation. When blood flow weakens, energy fades, confidence slips away, and intimacy feels out of reach. But the paradox is this: the answer isn't locked in a pharmacy. It's sitting quietly in your kitchen, overlooked for decades. That answer is a simple ginger-based mix. When prepared correctly, it boosts blood flow, restores energy, and helps you feel strong, connected, and confident again, even at 70, 75, or 85. 1 teaspoon a day is enough to open the door back to yourself. In just a moment, I'll show you exactly how to make it, how to use it, and what results you can expect if you stay with me. Before we go any further, if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. Just click that button and tap the bell so you'll never miss another simple, science-backed tip to keep you strong, energized, and confident at any age. And if this message speaks to you, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make this content even more helpful for you. Now let's begin with the truth most men never hear. Your strength, stamina, and intimacy don't fade just because of age. The real reason lies in your blood flow. And once you understand why circulation matters more than ever after 60, everything else will finally make sense. 1. Why blood flow matters after 60. Blood is life. It is the silent current carrying oxygen, nutrients, hormones, and energy to every single cell in your body. It fuels the heart that beats within your chest, the mind that sharpens your thoughts, and yes, the very system that allows you to feel confident, strong, and connected in the bedroom. Yet as the years pass, most men notice a quiet shift. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not like flipping a switch. It's subtle, creeping in slowly until one morning you realize something has changed. You don't wake up with the same firmness you used to. Your limbs feel heavier, colder. Your energy is not as sharp, your drive not as steady. You start to wonder if this is simply what it means to grow old. But let me tell you, as a doctor who has sat across from thousands of men over the age of 60, it is not age that steals your vitality. It is poor blood flow. Your arteries, once flexible and vibrant, gradually stiffen. Circulation slows. The rich flood of life-giving blood that once nourished every corner of your body now trickles where it used to surge. And with that, your energy dims, your confidence slips, and your intimacy fades. Many men accept this as inevitable. They lower their heads, surrender to the calendar, and believe their best years are behind them. But I've seen something different. I've seen men in their 70s and 80s light up again when circulation is restored. I've seen eyes grow brighter, shoulders straighten, and marriages come alive once more. Imagine for a moment what happens when blood flow is restored. Warmth returns to your hands and feet. Your heart feels stronger, your chest lighter. The energy that once felt lost begins to hum again through your body. And in the most private, intimate moments, you no longer feel absent. You are present again, strong, capable, alive. That is the power of circulation, and it matters more after 60 than at any other time in your life. Because when blood stops flowing, nothing else works. Not the pills, not the workouts, not even the motivation you try to muster every morning. Without circulation, you are trying to build on sand. With circulation, you are building on solid stone. So let me ask you, what if there was a way to restore that flow naturally, safely, without side effects? What if the answer was not in a pharmacy, not in a procedure, but in something simple, overlooked, and already within your reach? Because as you are about to discover, nature has provided us with a powerful root that can awaken your blood vessels, open your arteries, and breathe life back into every cell of your body. And that root, sharp, potent, alive, has been hiding in your kitchen all along. 2. The power of ginger, nature's blood flow booster. When I first began recommending ginger to my patients, many of them looked at me with surprise. Ginger? Isn't that just a spice for cooking, they would ask? But what they didn't realize, and what science has proven again and again, is that ginger is far more than flavor. It is a natural powerhouse, a root with centuries of tradition behind it, carrying within its fibers the ability to awaken blood flow in ways that can feel nothing short of miraculous. I remember a man named Charles, 74 years old, who came to me feeling utterly defeated. He told me in a quiet voice that he no longer felt like the man he once was. His energy had faded, his confidence was slipping away, and intimacy with his wife felt like a memory instead of a possibility. He didn't want prescriptions. He didn't want quick fixes. He wanted something real. That was the moment I introduced him to fresh ginger root. Not powdered, not dried, but raw and alive. I told him to think of it as more than food, to think of it as a key that could unlock his circulation. Weeks later, Charles called me laughing with a joy I hadn't heard in years. "Doc," he said, "I feel like my blood is dancing again." That is the power of ginger, and his story is not unique. Men across the world have discovered what happens when you allow this humble root to work its way through your system. Ginger contains compounds that encourage the production of nitric oxide, a tiny molecule that sends a powerful message to your blood vessels. Open up, relax, let the life inside you flow freely again, and when that flow returns, you notice it everywhere, in your energy, your warmth, your confidence, and yes, in the bedroom too. But ginger doesn't stop there. Beyond circulation, it calms inflammation, supports healthy hormone balance, and even steadies blood sugar, all of which are critical for staying strong and vital after 60. Every time I explain this to a patient, I see the same look in their eyes, a flicker of hope, a sense that maybe, just maybe, they don't have to settle for decline. Ginger, when used the right way, becomes more than a spice. It becomes a lifeline. And yet, as powerful as ginger is on its own, there is something even more remarkable. Because when it's combined with just a few other natural ingredients, its effects multiply, creating a blend that men describe as their secret weapon. So the question is, what exactly goes into this mix and how can you prepare it to unlock its full potential? That's what we're going to uncover next. 3. The Ginger Mix Formula. Over the years, I have tested dozens of remedies, from herbs passed down through generations to carefully studied modern supplements. Few of them impressed me the way this simple ginger mix did. It didn't come from a laboratory. It wasn't born out of expensive research or hidden behind patents. It came from listening to older men from around the world, listening to stories that had survived centuries, and most importantly, listening to the bodies of my patients who tried it and felt their strength return. What I discovered was both simple and powerful, a 4-part formula that brings ginger's natural force to life and transforms it into a daily ritual of renewal. It begins, of course, with fresh ginger root. Not powder sitting for months on a shelf, but the kind you can slice into and smell instantly, sharp and alive. This root is the foundation, the spark that tells your arteries to wake up and your blood to move again. To that we add the juice of a fresh lemon, squeezed by hand. Lemon may seem ordinary, but inside its tang lies a remarkable ability to support your arteries, protect your liver, and help your body absorb every drop of ginger's power more effectively. Next comes raw honey, golden, unprocessed, pure. More than sweetness, honey soothes inflammation, balances blood sugar, and supports the adrenal system that fuels your energy and calms your stress. It makes the mix not only healing, but something you actually enjoy taking every single day. And then comes the ingredient that surprises most men, black raisins. Not just any raisins, but those soaked overnight until they are soft and rich. Why? Because raisins are loaded with boron, a mineral that quietly supports testosterone and helps keep your blood vessels supple and flexible. They carry antioxidants and iron as well, making them a perfect partner in this blend. When you put these four together, ginger, lemon, honey, and raisins, you create more than a mix. You create harmony. Each part amplifies the others. Each ingredient plays its role in waking up circulation, fueling vitality, and bringing back the spark that age tried to steal. Men who try it often tell me the same thing. It feels alive. Unlike a pill swallowed in seconds, this is a ritual. You smell the ginger sharp and fresh. You see the honey swirl like liquid gold. You taste the balance of sour and sweet, the earthiness of raisins. It is nourishment you can feel in the moment, and within days your body begins to respond. But here's the truth. Ingredients are only half the story. The real transformation happens in the way you prepare them. The small steps that unlock their full potential and make the difference between results that fade and results that last. And that is why the next step is so important, because knowing what to mix is one thing, but knowing how to prepare it properly is where the magic begins. 4. How to use it for maximum results. Whenever I hand this recipe to a patient, I never just say, "Here, mix it together and drink it." That would be like giving away a treasure without explaining its value. Because this isn't only about what you take, it's about how you take it, when you take it, and the rhythm you create with it. Natural remedies don't work the way quick-fix pills do. They aren't meant to trick your body. They're meant to support it, to guide it back to balance, and that requires patience, consistency, and intention. The very best time to take this mix is in the morning, first thing on an empty stomach. Why? Because that's when your body is most ready to receive it. Your digestive system is clear, your blood is eager for nourishment, and your circulation needs that early ignition to carry you through the day. Think of it like starting an engine. When you pour in the right fuel at the right time, everything runs smoother, stronger, longer. I tell my patients to stir the mix gently. Breathe in the scent of fresh ginger and take it slowly. Let it settle. Let it speak to your body. Follow it with a glass of warm water if you'd like to help with absorption and hydration. But here's the part many men overlook. More is not better. 1 teaspoon a day is enough. It may sound small, but with remedies like this, consistency always beats excess. Some men try to double or triple the amount, thinking they can speed up the results, but the body doesn't work that way. What matters is not how much you take in one sitting, but how faithfully you take it every day. Think of it as watering a plant. Too much water at once will drown it, but steady drops each day will bring it to life. And then there is the most important element of all, commitment. I've seen men begin this ritual with excitement only to let it fade when life gets busy. They miss a day here, another day there, and soon they stop altogether. And then they say, "Doctor, it didn't work for me." But it wasn't the mix that failed them. It was the inconsistency. If you give your body a clear, steady signal every morning, it will respond. Sometimes you feel the shift in 3 days, sometimes in a week, but it comes. Energy begins to rise, warmth returns to your hands and feet, and confidence creeps back into the quiet places of your life. So remember, 1 teaspoon every morning, empty stomach. That's the key. It's not complicated, but it is sacred. This small act repeated daily is your message to your body that you're choosing to fight back, to claim vitality, to stay present and alive. Now, of course, even the best rituals can fail if you stumble into the same mistakes I see again and again, mistakes that silently rob men of the results they deserve. And that's why before we go any further, I need to warn you about the most common traps and how you can avoid them. 5. Common mistakes to avoid. Over the years, I've watched so many men begin this ginger mix ritual with genuine hope in their hearts. They feel the first spark of possibility, the first glimmer of confidence, and they're ready to reclaim what time is taken from them. But too often, those same men come back weeks later, frustrated and disappointed, telling me it didn't work. And when I dig deeper, almost every single time, the problem isn't the mix, it's the mistakes. Small, simple missteps that quietly sabotage progress before it has the chance to take root. The first mistake is choosing poor quality ingredients. Freshness matters more than most people realize. Bottled lemon juice that's been sitting on a shelf for months has already lost much of its vitamin C. Processed honey from a supermarket aisle may have been heated and filtered until the very enzymes that make it powerful are gone. Even dried out ginger or raisins that have been stored for too long lose their vitality. Your body knows the difference between something alive and something lifeless. If you want real results, you have to give it real ingredients. Fresh ginger root, raw honey, bright lemons, plump raisins soaked overnight. Nature provides, but only if we respect her purity. The second mistake is inconsistency. Men often treat this mix like a quick fix. Take it for a few days, forget for a week, then try again when they remember. But the body doesn't respond to stop-and-go signals. It responds to rhythm. Think of it as a drumbeat your body learns to follow. 1 teaspoon every morning tells your system day after day, wake up, open up, flow. Miss too many days and that rhythm breaks. It's not intensity that matters here, it's consistency. Another common error is taking the mix at the wrong time. If you drink it right after a heavy breakfast, when your stomach is full and your digestion sluggish, the ingredients can't do their work properly. They get lost in the noise of everything else your body is processing. That's why the empty stomach in the morning is so critical. It gives the ginger, lemon, honey, and raisins the clear path they need to reach your blood and make their magic felt. And perhaps the greatest mistake of all is giving up too soon. Too many men expect to feel like Superman overnight. When that doesn't happen on day one, they shrug and decide it's useless. But the truth is, change is already happening beneath the surface long before you feel it. Blood vessels are relaxing. Circulation is awakening. Inflammation is calming. Sometimes the body whispers before it shouts. If you quit early, you silence those whispers and never give them the chance to grow into real transformation. These mistakes may sound small, but they make all the difference between disappointment and success. And when you avoid them, something remarkable begins to unfold. The body starts to respond, week by week, in ways that are both subtle and powerful. So let's talk about that next. What exactly you can expect to feel and when, as this simple daily ritual begins to restore the strength you thought was gone for good. 6. What to expect, week by week. One of the questions I hear most often is, "Doctor, how soon will I feel something?" And I always answer with honesty. Every man is different, but the body follows patterns, and I've seen those patterns repeat themselves again and again over the past 3 decades. When you commit to this ginger mix daily, something begins to stir inside you almost immediately, even if you can't feel it right away. Your blood vessels are responding, your circulation is waking up, and your body is remembering how to function the way it was designed to. In the first few days, most men notice small but encouraging shifts. They wake up with a little more energy, a clearer head, and less stiffness in their hands and feet. It's as if the lights inside the body are flickering back on after years of dimness. The change is subtle, but it is real, and it sets the stage for what comes next. By the end of the first week, those subtle shifts become harder to ignore. Warmth begins to return to areas that have felt cold or sluggish for years. Some men tell me they feel a buzz of circulation in their chest or lower back, like life moving through them again. And yes, many notice something else, the return of morning firmness they thought had vanished forever. That moment alone can bring a rush of hope and a spark of confidence they haven't felt in decades. By the second and third week, the changes deepen. Stamina improves, energy lasts longer throughout the day, and intimacy feels possible again. Men describe it as a quiet but powerful awakening, not just in their bodies, but in their relationships. Their partners notice too, the way they walk taller, the way their eyes shine brighter, the way they are suddenly more present at home. It is not arrogance. It is the quiet certainty that comes from feeling alive again. And here is the most beautiful part. These improvements don't just level off, they continue to build. Like a fire being stoked, the results compound with time. By the end of a month, men often feel as if they've been given back a piece of themselves they thought was gone forever. Their energy flows more steadily, their confidence is stronger, and their intimacy is no longer a source of worry, but of joy. Every man's story is unique, but the progression is clear. Small sparks at first, growing into something brighter, stronger, and more lasting. And it all begins with that 1 teaspoon each morning. But this journey isn't only about physical change. The most profound transformations often take place in the heart, in the way a man feels about himself, and in the way his partner looks at him again with love and admiration. That emotional impact is something no prescription can give, and it's exactly what we'll talk about next. 7. Emotional impact. When I sit across from men in my office, many of them in their 60s, 70s, or even 80s, they often tell me the same thing in different words. "Doctor, I just want to feel like myself again. I want my wife to look at me the way she used to." It is a quiet confession, but behind it lies a deep longing. Because intimacy is not just about performance, it is about connection, respect, desire, and the simple joy of being close to the person you love. And when circulation slows, when energy fades, that connection often slips away without anyone realizing until it feels almost lost. I have seen the change in men who begin this daily ritual with ginger. At first, they notice the physical improvements, more energy, more warmth, more vitality. But soon after, something else begins to shift. Their wives smile at them differently. Conversations at the dinner table feel warmer. The silence that once crept into the bedroom starts to lift. It is as though the spark in their body rekindles the spark in their relationship. One man, well into his 80s, told me with tears in his eyes, "Doctor, my wife held my hand again like she used to. I didn't think I'd ever feel that closeness again." That moment, that simple gesture meant more to him than any medical result I could have measured. What's remarkable is how confidence returns. Men begin to walk taller, their shoulders straighter, their eyes brighter. They carry themselves with a presence that commands respect not only from their partners, but from themselves. They rediscover the feeling of being a man in full, capable, desired, alive. And that change does not just affect the bedroom. It flows into every part of their lives, from the way they speak with their children to the way they engage with the world. I often tell my patients that health is never only physical. The body and the heart are woven together. When you restore blood flow, you restore energy. And when you restore energy, you restore confidence. And confidence is what opens the door back to intimacy, affection, and the sense of being truly alive in a relationship again. This is why I consider the emotional impact of this ginger mix to be just as important as the physical results. Because at the end of the day, what most men want is not just stamina or performance, they want closeness. They want to feel connected, respected, and cherished. But even with all this power, there are traps that can hold men back. I've seen good men make simple mistakes that prevent them from reaching their full potential. And unless you know what those mistakes are, they can quietly rob you of everything this mix has to offer. So before you take another step, let me show you the most common pitfalls and how to avoid them. 8. Extra boosters. As powerful as this ginger mix is on its own, there are simple, everyday habits that can amplify its effects and make the results even more remarkable. I often tell my patients that nature rewards the small, consistent choices we make. And when you combine the right choices with this daily ritual, the body responds in ways that can feel almost miraculous. These boosters don't require expensive equipment, gym memberships, or complicated routines. They are small, practical steps you can begin immediately, and yet their impact can be profound. One of the simplest additions is a pinch of cinnamon stirred into the mix. It may seem insignificant, but cinnamon has long been known to support healthy blood sugar and to add extra warmth to your circulation. That little extra kick can intensify the effect of the ginger, making your blood vessels even more responsive. Another booster is movement, but not the kind that feels exhausting or intimidating. I tell men to take a gentle 15-minute walk after breakfast. You don't need to rush, you don't need to sweat. Just move your body, breathe deeply, let your circulation stay awake and active. Think of it as telling your blood, keep flowing, keep feeding me with life. Evenings matter too. A heavy meal late at night forces your body to spend its energy digesting instead of healing and restoring. By keeping dinner light, you allow your system to rest, to recover, and to use its resources to rebuild your strength. And perhaps the most underestimated booster of all is deep breathing. 10 slow, intentional breaths before bed calm the nervous system, release the stress of the day, and encourage steady blood flow through the night. It is a practice as old as humanity itself, and yet so many of us forget how powerful it can be. When men add these boosters to their routine, I notice a striking difference. They don't just feel improvement, they feel transformation. Energy becomes steadier, stamina grows, sleep becomes deeper, and intimacy feels richer. It's as though their bodies find a new rhythm, one that carries them forward with ease instead of holding them back with struggle. These habits are not meant to replace the mix, but to stand beside it, strengthening its effects and building a foundation for lasting vitality. And here is where the story becomes even more powerful. Because once the body begins to respond physically, once energy and circulation are restored, the question becomes, how do these changes unfold over time? What should you expect as the days turn into weeks and the weeks into months? The answer is both surprising and deeply encouraging, and it's exactly what we'll explore next. 9. Closing inspiration. At this stage, you may be wondering what all of this really means for you. You've learned why blood flow matters, how ginger can transform circulation, the formula that brings it to life, and the habits that make it even stronger. But beyond the science, beyond the recipes, lies something far more important: your choice. The choice to keep moving forward, to keep fighting for the man you know you still are inside, and to never surrender your vitality to age. I have watched men in their 70s, 80s, even 90s walk into my office with shoulders slumped and spirits low, believing their time had passed. And I have watched those same men weeks later walk out taller, smiling, with a spark in their eyes that no prescription could ever give. What changed? Not just their circulation. What changed was their belief. They realized that their body was not finished, that their story was not over, that intimacy, energy, and connection were still waiting for them if they dared to reach for it. This ginger mix is not a magic potion. It is not a miracle cure. It is a symbol, a daily reminder that you still have power over your health and your life. Each teaspoon is a declaration. I am not done. I am not giving up. I am choosing strength, connection, and life. And when you make that choice consistently, day after day, your body listens. It rewards you with energy, confidence, and the priceless gift of intimacy renewed. What I want you to take away is this: it is never too late. Whether you are 60, 70, 85, or older, you can still feel alive in ways you thought were gone forever. You can still surprise yourself, and you can still surprise the one you love. I have seen it happen too many times to doubt it. Men who thought they had nothing left to give found themselves holding their partner's hand again, laughing like they did in their youth, rediscovering the joy of closeness that age tried to steal. That is not just health, it is life restored. So here you are, standing at the edge of possibility. You know the formula, you know the steps. The only question left is, will you take them? Will you choose to begin, to stay consistent, to allow your body the chance to wake up again? The decision is yours, and it may just be the most important decision you make for the rest of your life. And yet, before we close, there is one final truth you need to hear. Something that ties this entire journey together. Something that will give you the courage to take the first step and never turn back. Let me share that with you now in our conclusion. 10. Conclusion. As we come to the end of this journey, I want you to pause and think about what you've just heard. You began by learning the simple truth that age is not the real enemy. Poor blood flow is. You discovered how ginger, a root sitting quietly in your kitchen, holds the power to awaken circulation, restore energy, and bring back the vitality you thought time had taken. You saw how this humble mix, combined with lemon, honey, and raisins, becomes more than a recipe. It becomes a ritual, a declaration of life, a spark that ignites change from the inside out. We talked about the importance of how you use it, 1 teaspoon every morning on an empty stomach. Not more, not less, but steady and consistent. Because healing does not come from extremes, it comes from rhythm. We uncovered the mistakes that so many men fall into. Poor ingredients, inconsistency, heavy meals, or giving up too soon, and how avoiding them makes all the difference. You learned what to expect as the days pass. Subtle changes in the first week, a return of warmth and energy, the reappearance of morning firmness, the quiet but undeniable restoration of strength and stamina. And perhaps most importantly, we explored the emotional side, because this is not just about blood flow, it is about connection. It is about looking into your partner's eyes and seeing admiration again, about holding hands with tenderness, about carrying yourself with the dignity and confidence of a man who knows he is still alive, still capable, still worthy of love. Those moments are priceless, and no prescription, no surgery, no artificial fix can ever give them back to you the way a natural restoration of vitality can. The boosters I shared, adding cinnamon, walking gently after breakfast, eating lighter in the evening, and practicing deep breathing, are not complicated, but together they create a rhythm of life that amplifies everything this mix can do for you. And when you combine these steps, you give yourself the gift of not only physical strength, but emotional renewal. You reclaim your place in your own story as the man you are meant to be, no matter your age. I have spent more than 3 decades guiding men through this path, and if there is one thing I've learned, it is this: it is never too late. I have seen men at 60 reclaim the vigor they thought was gone, men at 70 rebuild intimacy they thought had vanished, and men at 85 discover a fire they believed had long been extinguished. Each one of them made the same simple choice: to try, to stay consistent, to refuse to surrender. And each one of them was rewarded in ways that changed not only their health, but their marriages, their families, their very sense of self. So as we close, I want to leave you with this thought. Every morning when you hold that spoon of ginger mix, you are holding more than a blend of ingredients. You are holding possibility. You are holding the chance to feel alive again, to reconnect with your partner, to carry yourself with strength, and to know that your best days are not behind you. They are still waiting to be lived. The decision is in your hands. You can let time dictate your story, or you can take back the pen and write it yourself. 1 teaspoon, 1 morning at a time, may be all it takes to begin a new chapter filled with energy, intimacy, and confidence. The only question now is, will you choose to begin tomorrow?